Twisted Tales.
Twisted Tales. Twisted Tales. Blood and bones and no trails. Twisted Tales. True got teeth and drags their nails. Urban riding, back road sins. Dead men talking through the wind. Cursed objects, killer law. Once you hear it, you want more.
Good evening, everybody. This is Jeremy Cotter, and welcome to another amazing episode of Twisted Tales. Shout out earlier to my brother Nathaniel Elwell and his co-hosts Morgan and Sean and their special guest. They had an amazing show earlier on Paranormal Unveiled. This show is also one of the official podcasts of the Maine Paranormal and Horror Convention. This coming September 12th and 13th. Hope to see you all there, hopefully. And without further ado, I would like to bring in my special guest. He is a podcast host, paranormal investigator, psychic medium. The man does it all. Mr. J.D. Hill, please come on in.
What's up?
Good evening, Jay. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
You know, it is my honor to have you on. I know that I met you several months ago on Nate's podcast, and it was definitely an amazing experience to talk to you then. And I've been wanting to definitely get this together, and now we finally got a chance to do it. So this is really cool.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this. Yeah, I'm always up for a great conversation.
Absolutely, and like I said earlier, you definitely are a jack of all trades. So without further ado, I'd like to, for those of people who don't know who you are, get into some origins. How did you get involved in the paranormal?
Well, I have this saying that I've followed the paranormal my whole life, but the actual truth is the paranormal has followed me. Oh, wow. So I've always been into the paranormal ever since I was young. I would say, especially since I saw my first full body apparitions when I was 16, and it just grew after that, and the experiences I had and whatnot. And it wasn't until later, probably in my 20s, when I really kind of learned that I had, psychic abilities and gifts, and not really wanting to indulge them. I pretty much kind of tried to drink it away and all that. But eventually, once I quit drinking and everything else, my brain finally came to fruition. Yeah, and it's been open season ever since.
Wow, that's amazing. So you said you had your very first paranormal experience when you saw a full-bodied apparition, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Where did that event take place?
Well, I live in Wisconsin, and this happened when I was living in Wisconsin when I was back in the 1980s. I was living in a house downtown in Lake Geneva. Me and my sister both knew that there was something there that we could both feel, because my sister, who's a year older than me, she's gifted, even though she doesn't like to say that she is, but I always known that she is. And so we both kind of felt something when we first walked into that house, and we thought, this is going to be pretty cool. And most kids our age then would probably freaking out and be like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can handle this. We were just the opposite. We were more welcoming to the strange and obscure and the things that we happened and that we had happened to us in that house. And I actually I was sleeping in the upstairs bedroom, and that night, um, I saw this. I was laying in bed and I saw this, looked like a green orb or green light, and it was bright. And I thought it was something that, like, if I was like looking outside when I was laying down, I was looking outside and it was a street light or something, and kind of give you that blinding, ball of light, that kind of like looking at the sun. But I tried to debunk that. I'm like, what was that? And I couldn't figure it out. And I didn't think anything of it. And then probably in the middle of the night, probably about 2:00, I think, I was waking up. I bolted straight up and I saw this lady standing there staring at me. And I wasn't scared. I wasn't nervous. I wasn't anything. I was more irritated that she woke me up.
Oh,
Yeah, because I love my sleep, and I basically had said to her, "What? Like, what do you want?" And she had that discerning look on her face. And the best way to describe it was kind of like, "Can I trust you?" type thing,
okay,
And,
yeah.
So I just rolled over and went back to sleep. Well, it was weird because as I was rolling over and going back to sleep and ignoring this spirit that was at the end of my bed, I kind of got transported into another place around the area, a farm where my dad grew up on for a while, and I was standing at the edge of the driveway, and I'm like, why am I here? And I know the place. I used to drive by it, and so this guy comes and walks up to me, and come to find out that this is my dad's dad, my grandfather. Well, my grandfather died in 1966.
Yeah.
He died of old age because technically my grandfather was born the same year supposedly Billy the Kid was shot and killed.
Oh, wow.
So you figure 1881.
Yeah.
And my dad was the youngest out of 15, 14 kids, or 16. I can't remember.
That's a big family.
Right. So my grandpa was like 40 something, 45 or whatever, 46
Right.
or something like that when he was born. So, and my parents had me when they were in their late 30s. So anyway, so my dad was sick at that time. He had cancer, and I was talking to my supposed grandfather, and he was just basically trying to tell us to give him support and to let him know that he's loved, and and to be there for him. And I said, sure, no problem. And it was weird. It was just a weird whole. It wasn't just a dream. It was something that happened I can't even explain. But when I went downstairs to talk to my mom about this, and I'd never met my grandfather, so I didn't know what he looked like, and so she was asking me what was he wearing and what he looked like, and so I described him to what he was wearing, and she went and grabbed a photo, an old photo, black and white photo, and she said, "Is that him?" And I said, "That's exactly who it is." And then she said, "Don't ever tell your father that dream." I said, "Okay, I won't." Well, then 2 seconds later, my sister comes down and goes, Guess what happened last night? There was some lady standing at the foot of my bed. And so my sister had seen her too. So she was kind of making a run. So.
Wow, that's an amazing first experience. I mean, that must have set the wheels in place to get to be interested in.
Yeah, kind of the whole house did, because I mean it was just it wasn't just that. I mean, we would hear doors open and close. We would hear footsteps all the time up and down the stairs. We got to understand, this house used to be part of a mansion on a corner lot.
Okay.
And behind a part of it was like the stables and farm buildings and this and that, and then next to it was the servants' quarters, and which basically after years it was moved over to the next lot, and actually made it out to be a doctor's office.
Oh wow.
And then they built a garage and an apartment over it, so it's just like in the 60s or whatever. And it's funny because my mom's doctor, that when she was pregnant with me, that's where her doctor was, in that building.
Okay.
So it kind of have ties through the whole area type deal. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we would have. I was touched. Actually, felt like I was like, somebody when they thump you with their finger. Yeah. That's what it felt like. Well, I had a big mark on my back, and my sister was looking at it. We had dogs at that time, and one of the dogs was barking ferociously in we called it the game room, because there was 3 bedrooms up top.
Okay.
And we had video games up there and TV and stuff like that on the couch. And my sister asked me to come over to the room and to look at the dog. Well, we had a half German Shepherd, half Lab. And so I walked and I stood at the end of the entryway to the bedroom, and I'm looking at the dog, and she's barking at something like ferociously at the closet, and just will not shut up. And as soon as I stepped through the threshold, she stopped, looked at me, and got up on the couch and laid down. Okay. So whatever was there left as soon as I entered the room. Oh. And that's kind of the telltale that I learned this over the years, that sometimes because of my light and because of who I am,
right,
some spirits they see that and they choose not to interact because they either don't understand it, or it's a bright light, or it's something that they don't want to interact with. And so I've had that where I've been to haunted locations, and they could say it's really haunted, or these people were just in here and they experienced this and that. And then as soon as I get there, it's kind of like things go silent.
It flatlines, yeah.
Yeah, So I kind of have to approach certain investigations in a little bit different way, to express myself and let them know that I'm just there to communicate and to find out some truths, stuff like that. And that has helped a little bit. But when I was young, my frequency and everything, was everywhere. My light was everywhere. And I didn't realize that until I got older. But
that definitely makes sense. I mean, if you are giving off a really high vibration and you go into some of these locations, spirits can pick up on that just as much as anything else.
Mm-hmm.
And if they think that if they can't figure out what's going on with you, they might not want to talk. And it's like, well, wait a minute, what the hell is going on here?
Right.
Makes sense,
Right.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So my curiosity is, so you had your experiences in your home.
Mm-hmm.
Where was your actual first, like, when did you actually do an investigation, like a real investigation, like equipment? Where was the first place you actually investigated?
Was probably that house in a sense, and it wasn't like the investigations that we do today. It was more or less trying to find out what's there, so to speak. You know what I mean?
Right.
This is back in the 80s. I mean, paranormal wasn't prominent then. You know what I mean? I mean, the only thing that I had was Holzer. His books, like the Holzer files, I had his information and other ghost books. The first book I ever read was in 3rd grade, and it was called Ghosts by Daniel Cohen. I remember it to this day because it was a blue cover. And that's how I really was interested in the paranormal, was from like the 3rd grade on, and yeah, it was one of those things where, having those experiences in those homes is kind of like I really didn't need to technically investigate.
Right.
I just had to be there, and we had so many personal experiences, that it was just like, it was cool. I wasn't scared. It wasn't nothing like, freaked out or nothing like that. It was just, it was a normal thing for me. And it always
Right.
has been a normal thing for me. It never really wasn't abnormal, except for when I moved into a house that was all red. I moved into an apartment house that was all red. And
Oh wow.
yeah, I ran and I, it's when I was 94 and I basically gave my life to Christ and, was changing my ways and my views of things and this and that.
Mhm.
And that night was when the darkness showed up and was none happy. And yeah. I mean, like, sitting on me, telling me, asking me, how can you do this to me? I own you. You betrayed me. You did, all this. And yeah, I was terrified. I had something in that house. There was a couple different things in that house. Yeah, it was just after that, I moved out after I broke up with the girl I was with. I moved back to where I was living and was in Nebraska. Yeah. So that's going to be in my book too. It's kind of like, it's going to be kind of like a life book, of stories of my life. And basically people will be able to get to know a little bit more about who I am. So
Well, that's amazing. So the energy was tied to the property? Is it when you moved in there? Or was it something that followed you from one place to another? 'Cause, I mean, I had both of those before in my life, so I was just kind of curious.
yeah, no. Before I had gave my life to Christ, and
Right.
before I had done that, my life I viewed because of the things that I was into, the people I hung out with, the things I did, the drugs I did, all that stuff, and
Mhm.
I was an asshole, and I was, but a lot of that is just my own design of who I was at that time, and allowing all that darkness and that negativity in me and this and that. When I got rid of it all, is when that entity came to me and threatened my life, and threatened my future children's lives, and threw me on the floor. And I got back up and got into bed, and I was terrified. And I don't remember anything else. I remember waking up. I remember, falling asleep or passing out or going to sleep. I don't remember what, but I woke up and I was just like, at that moment, I knew that I was protected. I knew I was protected.
Right.
And I've always known that. And so that things changed for me, I was still, I still wasn't where I needed to be as I am today, but it's taken me years to overcome a lot of those negative things that have been kind of stuck on you like sap, the habits and all of that stuff, but
it makes sense, and getting rid of those crutches, so to speak, is one of the hardest things to do.
Right. Oh yeah.
Whether it's like smoking or drinking or or any kind of recreational use of pharmaceuticals, which I don't begrudge. I can't say anything one way or the other because I've been through it in my lifetime and I understand all of that. So I don't judge anybody for what they're going through because everybody goes through their own particular stuff. It's just
right. I've always said that people have their own path to go through. It's their own path. They create it. No matter good or bad, they got to go through it, and then they can learn from it. You know what I mean? There's always a lesson there. Always.
Absolutely. So, sticking with the paranormal for a second, then I want to switch over to the to the mediumship because it's definitely something that intrigues me a lot, especially seeing that I slightly dabble in it. As far as so you had all these experiences, and as far as paranormal investigating, where was your first commercial style place that you actually went to, like an actual location outside of your domicile?
Well, where I used to start where I started my podcast was a boutique hotel in Lake Geneva in Wisconsin.
Oh wow.
And I did a full blown investigation. Had some good things happen there. Got to know some of the spirits that are there. One of the not so nice ones that's there. When I would walk into this place, when I was really attached to this place, the lights would kind of flicker and dim, and the owner of the owner of the building would know that, oh, Jay's here, and then I would walk straight through there, and it was kind of funny because it was a running joke. But yeah, so I would say, I've kind of investigated here and there over the years, but as if you want to talk about like where I used equipment or whatever, you know what I mean? Yeah. It would have to be that place. And I still have, I think the first recording I took at the downstairs Speakeasy bar when we went outside, and I had the recorder running. And when I came back and then I listened to it, and a voice clear as day said, "Where's Susie?" Or where's Suzanne or something like that. It's been a while since I heard it, but
right.
Yeah, it was on the top of the bar, and it was clear as day. Yeah, it was kind of weird, but
wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great place. I've investigated there a couple times, and working on my friend Josh Hughes, who's got a new podcast plus Weird Wisconsin going. We're talking about investigating together and whatnot. So yeah, I might be going back there again.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, I was there for about a year and a half. I was there doing my first podcast, Studio 6 Paranormal podcast with my friend Shane Feek, and we were doing live. I always did my show live, and we actually had activity happen on live. So, because I was in the office room, which used to be somebody's apartment.
Okay.
Yeah. So there was some history. They weren't too sure about me. It was kind of funny because they weren't too sure about me, and they would mess with my equipment a lot.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. It would turn off, it would flicker, it would be something that was starting to get irritating until I sat down and I said, okay, guys, listen, I know you can hear me. You got to stop doing this. This is something that means a lot to me. I really want to be able to talk to people and do this and this and that. And, no disrespect, but please stop messing with my stuff. And after that, it stopped.
That's amazing that you actually were able to investigate and run your podcast in the same place. Yep. It's kind of like having a paranormal hub at your fingertips at all times, And
oh yeah, I mean, it was really cool because at that time, nobody that I know was doing what I was doing a live podcast in a haunted location. And when somebody had said later on, somebody said, "You're the only one that I know of that actually does that." Now, I think there's been a couple other people over the years that actually do that or have done that, which is cool. Kudos to them.
Yeah.
I don't want to say that I'm a trendsetter, but I just think it was an idea I had that why not do a podcast or a show live while you're talking to people in a haunted location. If it's there, you have that ability, do it.
It makes sense because what better place to do it?
Right.
And then in a place that is going to give you live interactions, maybe even while you're on the air, while you're talking to your guests. I mean, I'm sure that must have been some instances where your guests are like, "What the hell's going on over there?" Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I used to have guests that would interact with me from a distance. Like I had interviewed these people from Maine, or from Pennsylvania. I don't remember where, but it was on the East Coast. But we would go back and forth with their equipment and our equipment. and see. And we actually had the conversation, from what I could tell, was trying to contact or talk about what they see in this room come up through the spirit box. You know what I mean? So that was cool. But
it's an amazing opportunity that you're right. There's not a lot of them out there. Even to this day, I don't see a lot of them that are out there that are actually doing it from a live haunted location, because probably the logistics don't work out for them, or you have to have access and and regular access to a facility like that in order to do that, which is really cool, man. And I think that's awesome. If you get a chance to go back there and visit your old friends, so to speak, who knows, they might remember you from a time gone by.
They always remember me. I mean, I drive by there all the time. I mean, I go into town because I'm only 10 minutes away.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I go into town and whatnot. So it's just, it's a great place. I mean, there's a lot of different places downtown that have activities and stuff like that.
Wow.
So yeah,
that's pretty cool. So I wanted to touch a little bit on your psychic mediumship and your mediumship abilities. When did you start actually getting into that aspect of things?
Well, that whole aspect started probably when I was living in that house that I told you about, the red house. Okay, that before I got there, or before I moved in with the girl, I was supposed to go look at this house, and when I walked in, I just had this weird feeling and vibe, and I couldn't pinpoint it. Well, I would walk into the rooms to check it out, and the one room I walked into, I had flashes of blood on the wall, a scared child in the closet, and then I got the word abuse and something else, and then I walked into another room, and it was kind of similar, you know what I mean? But a lot of anger, a lot of all this other stuff, and I was like, and I called my sister, who didn't live too far from me at the time, and this is in Iowa. This is because she was living in Omaha, and I was just over the border in Iowa.
Okay.
At that time, so I was in my 20s, and I called her and asked her if she would come check it out with me, and she could tell me, but she couldn't make it, so I kind of had to make a decision. So I decided that we would take it because the rent was right, and my girlfriend finally said, "Yeah, let's do this." Well, that was one of the, I wouldn't say the start. It could have been the start, but it was more of this, that energy must have, even if I wasn't tuned in, so to speak,
right,
that energy was so thick in that house that it infiltrated me anyway. You know what I mean? And that's how I kind of, So after the years went by and this and that, I would have small things here and there, but it wasn't until after 2013 I had a stroke. Okay. Yeah. I had a stroke, and that was when I quit drinking. That's a whole different story too by itself. But about a few years after that, I was trying to, after I was getting better, and after 9 months of my stroke, I went back to work, and I had this job for a long time, and I started my podcasting, but even before that, I was having these experiences, and I couldn't figure out. I wasn't really paying attention until I started meditating, started tuning into my gifts and letting them out. You know what I mean? So probably 10, 12 years ago, and then in the last 5 to 7 years, I've been active in my gifts, and I've done gallery readings, and I used to do one-on-ones. I don't necessarily do one-on-ones anymore unless I'm led to.
Right.
I did a couple times. I did charge people But then I stopped. I wasn't, even though that is something that people do, and it, to, you know, to those who do that is you keep doing you. That's great.
Yeah.
I feel like I if I could help somebody by giving them something, by helping them, I'm not going to take their hard-earned money for anything. You know what I mean? It's just,
Gotcha.
even though it is technically a job for me, and that, you know, and most people say that you should get paid for doing that. I feel like I want to give back more than I'd rather receive. You know what I mean? So somebody comes to me and says, "Hey, you do a one-on-one reading." You know, if I feel led to it, I'll tell them. If I don't feel led to it, I'll tell them. You know, I really don't have anything for you. Usually those things happen, images come to me right away, and I'll be like, yeah, I would like to talk to you. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, it's selective choosing, but I don't do the choosing. It's, you know, spirit does the choosing for me. You know, it's like, yeah, you need to talk to this person, or you need to, you know, whatever, and this and that. But yeah, I want to be able to give to people. I want to be able to help people, and I don't want to take from them. That is, if that's weird, I'm sorry, but I mean, it's just, you know, I want to give. I don't want to take. You know,
I agree with you wholeheartedly. It's like, I got my gifts probably, you know, I'm gonna say like it probably started around like 2012, 2013.
Yeah,
has gradually gone on, and it definitely has spiked within the last like 6-7 years.
Right.
Definitely, you know, but that's because when you finally decide to embrace it, it's most important. It's amazing. And then sometimes I leave my damn crown open too much, and I get this influx of unbelievable weirdness, and you kind of gotta separate it all out a little bit. You know what I mean? So one of my questions I wanted to ask you was, how do you receive message from a spirit? Like how does it come to you?
Usually in images, usually like pictures. I usually get, like, it's like a photo album. You know what I mean? Sometimes I'll get like a physical picture, not a picture, but a physical person, or will come to me. Mostly I get, when I go right before I go to sleep, I usually have at least, I would say, 5 or 6 or about a half dozen different eyes looking back at me face to face. And that's just, that became normal for me. Every once in a while, I would see images of places.
Yeah.
I think last night when I was laying down, right before I fell asleep, I had an image of a train, like a train track going over like a bridge, and a fence at the end of this. And then there was like this big, like, weed bush. And then that was it. I'm like, why am I looking at that? I don't know. I don't get all the whys. It just happens. It's just random. You know what I mean? Okay. Sometimes they'll come out later, or some will want me to see these things for a reason.
Right.
But it's kind of like, I really try to, I'm kind of open all the time. And so I get it. You know, I get an influx. It's if you look at it this way, it's like going down to a subway.
Yeah.
You've got different people going in and out, in and out, in and out. And that's kind of the way my brain is, because I get an influx of different, sometimes it's a few and sometimes it's a whole bunch. You know what I mean? Okay. But I don't try to sort them through. If they're important enough that I'm supposed to know, that'll be the forefront in my mind, and that'll come through. And that'll repeat for a reason. And
okay, I got you.
You know what I mean? That it's almost like painting somebody orange and leading them through the crowd, and then once they get to the front of the road, they're like, pick me, pick me, pick me.
Right.
That person stands out from everybody else. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So so I get that from time to time. If my buddy Josh has got something going on in investigation, because I'm connected with him spiritually, actually, I think that we are related on my dad's mom's side, because he has the same last name as in her line, and I always felt this connection with him, and he's a good friend of mine. And so if he's got something that he's working on, I won't hear about it. I'll see it. And there'll be images. I'll be getting a flood of these images and this and that. And so I'll talk to him and text him the next day and say, hey, are you working on something? He goes, maybe. I'm like, does it have to do with this, and this? And he was like, yeah. And then he'll be like, I'm like, oh, so are you planning an investigation? He's like, yeah, I'm thinking about it, you know. But what's funny is that his gifts are opening up now. And he's starting to have these, a lot of the things that when you first experience them, like we both have in the past, that's where he's at. And he's experiencing all this stuff. And I think that's great for him because he's got questions for me. And he, you know, I try to help him a little bit, you know, here and there. But yeah, so I just, you know, it's kind of like front of the line gets the attention.
No, you're right. It's I've never done it like that. Usually mine will come and just start talking my ear off. Like God only knows. Yeah, Jason, I agree. It is awesome. And another thing I wanted to ask you, Jay, and real quick, if anybody's putting anything up on the screen, I can't see any messages at the moment, but I try to catch them if they're up there. But sometimes when we're talking, I tend to lose myself in the conversation, and I try to get back to you. So if you have something that you want to say, please feel free to put it up there, and it'd be really cool. One thing I really wanted to ask you was gallery-wise. When you're doing a gallery, how do they approach you in the gallery? Is it like freaking?
Oh, I have
to the front of the line, or do you
I have tunnel vision.
Okay.
So I quarantined everybody I look at. Let's say there's 10 people in the audience.
Yep.
I'll look at individual. I'll look around, and who resonates the most, and that's what I'll look at, and that's what comes through. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So it's not so much that somebody's asking me questions; it's wherever my gaze or my attention goes to,
right?
And then that's what'll happen. Whoever is the strongest lead for me,
yeah. Because
there'll be some people that are there that I know that there's loved ones there, but they're observing and they're not interacting, and that happens. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I definitely do.
Now, real quick, I will tell you.
Yes.
That that's one of the times I did that was when I was starting out and kind of coming into who I am. And I never knew this didn't make sense until later. I was after the reading, there was a young man or a younger man and a woman wearing a red dress. And they kind of came up to me after I was done, and they kind of came up to me, and they kind of got real close, almost like invading my space. And he said to me, do you know where your gifts come from, or where your messages come from? And I said, well, it's on the side of the spirit, and this and that. And I don't remember exactly what he says, but it was something on the negative side.
Right.
And the vibe that I got from both of these people was pure evil.
Ooh.
Yeah. And I was like, and I told him, I said, step back. I'm like, I see you. Step back. And then he looked at me and I said, yeah, I see you. And he stepped back, and then they walked out. Never seen him. Didn't even see him when I went into when I was, doing my readings for the gallery. I never saw him until the very end. So I don't know who they were or what, but they were of the evil expansion, let's say. And I could sense their negative. I could sense the darkness. And I said, yeah, you need to go.
Now, and when you're dealing with so many spirits in a room, they're attached to so many people, and you're trying to make sense of all of it as you're doing it. I've never done a gallery, but I know plenty of people who have done them, and some of them say that when you start opening up the room for questions, everybody's loved ones come pouring in from the other side, and it seems like a train station almost, but nobody's in the car. Everybody's standing at the platform going, "Hey, look at me, look at me!" It's
Right,
like,
right.
You know,
So I have. It's funny that you kind of say that because I have. I don't want to say bouncers, spiritual bouncers.
you can.
But,
I mean, it makes sense.
But I mean, it's weird because I have had where a spirit would kind of bum rush me because they wanted me to do something for them and this and that. The first time I had another spirit, a guide, intercede right in front of me and push this lady and say, "Oh, he's not doing this right now. You need to step back." I'm like, what was that? As I've had that happen a few times. Now, I did end up helping that girl or that lady. After about a month or two, because she kept coming to me every time I would pull up to the mansion, and she would come from across the street yelling and screaming. And when I finally got her story, I was able I ended up helping her. So
that's pretty cool. I got a question from Jason. He's like, "What are your thoughts on astral projection, traveling in your sleep, kind of stuff?"
I've done it. I think I actually kind of did that when I was talking to my grandfather.
Yeah.
You know, in that sense. I don't really pay too much attention to that. I have a hard time staying, you know, where I'm at, period. You know, let alone astral projection. I don't know. I guess I just never really. I've known people who have done it and they talk about it, but that is something that isn't something that's on my docket. You know what I mean?
Okay. Now, how about channeling? Have you ever experienced channeling? Okay.
No. I don't do channeling just because of the fact that I have a very intricate spiritual system within me, and I'm protected all the time, so it's hard for me to. Let's put it this way. When I was doing investigation up north with a friend of mine, and this person was like, the spirit that was there was a gangster person, and it was attacking me basically verbally. I had another medium on the phone with me, and she could hear this other spirit. She's like, "Who is yelling at you?" I said, this like 30s guy. And come to find out that he died there anyways. But there was an elemental there, and he was trying to blame me causing all the stuff that was going on there, and it was not. Anyways, when she talked to me on the phone, she said, "You have so much protection, it is just unreal." And I said, "Yeah, I kind of figured that." So for me to be able to do channeling, I would have to let down a lot of layers of protection for that. Not to say that it hasn't happened. Right. I've been jumped. I mean, I've been jumped by a spirit, but I hadn't been guarding myself quite as much yet. You know what I mean? I was just getting into that grounding and everything phase years ago.
Okay.
I was jumped by a spirit who was trapped in the vehicle that I bought.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the guy killed himself in the vehicle.
Oh, great.
Yeah, so he was pissed off and angry, and he jumped me on my way to work, and that was a feeling that I'll never forget, that I never want to experience again. I finally had to stop at a gas station and do my prayers, so to speak, and get him off. Once I got him off, and I laid down the law. You cannot do that again. Don't ever do that again. You know, and then it was fine. We'll come to find out that, you know, all this happened. Well, I got rid of the car about 2 months later.
No, I don't blame you. Who would want to have that negativity around them? You know, so I want to touch now on Studio 6 Media, which is actually your podcast. That's your company, right?
Well, that's what I created, because it used to be, when I first started, it was Studio 6 Paranormal Production or Paranormal Podcast.
Yeah.
When that ended, and I still like the Studio 6 phrase. So I had it Studio 6 Entertainment, Studio 6 Productions. I realized I couldn't use Studio 6 Productions because that is an actual legal name, not for a production company. It was actually an operation with the CIA.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, that had something to do with the 79 Contra. I can't remember what it was, but it was a big deal. It was a code word that was documented for that specific.
Right.
So I was like, I don't want to be associated with it. So I changed it to Studio 6 Media, you
Okay.
know, and I thought I tried other names. It's just Studio 6 always like fit with me. And that's what I have all my show. That's where I have all my shows, all my podcasts, you know, my music podcast, my spiritual podcast, all that stuff, you know. So
Yeah. So one of them that sticks out to me is the the unscripted reel to reel.
yeah, yeah. I wanted to make that where anybody and anybody can come talk to me. That's why I call it unscripted, because I never have any scripts, you know. None of my shows are scripted.
Right.
I do everything live. Sometimes I have a few that I might record, but I wanted to, when I do it from REEL to REAL, I
Right.
wanted to where people in front of the camera, behind the camera, or wanting to be involved in the camera, you know, the camera business or whatever, you know, or just them, recording their own lives, you know. That's why I wanted it to be unscripted. That's why I wanted the truth about who people are and what they do and how they do it, and just cool conversations, you know, kind of like what we're having, you know.
No, it's absolutely cool. You know, when I saw it, I'm like, that's a really cool title, unscripted reel to reel, because you know that's like I came up with Twisted Tales. You never know what direction it's going to go.
Right,
It's just,
right.
you know, I don't like to stay particular to any one particular form. What is Jay's opinion on how modern shows have affected the paranormal community? Is it negative or positive?
How modern shows, like modern ghost hunter shows?
Yeah, I'm imagining so. Yes.
I just think that is just the trend that is kind of like a mainstay that'll never go away. It'll always be there at some point. What was it? Josh Gates and the not the X-Files, but God, I can't remember the name of that show, but it's a paranormal show. He's also got a bunch of other ones, but
Yes, he does. Yeah.
I told people this about a month or so ago when I wasn't working and I was off work. I watched all of those paranormal shows just because I just wanted to see what I could come up with. There was so many different things that I ran into watching some of the programs over again, and what I missed compared to when I saw it 5 years ago. You know what I mean? I wanted to kind of see the truth behind some of it. And some of it's legit and some of it's just TV.
No, and you're right. I mean, and we all know that there has to be some magic of television in order for those shows to be watchable, because if you actually had a show of a true investigation, it'd
be awful boring.
It wouldn't last past the third episode. Let's be honest, because I mean,
right?
They take 7 days worth of stuff. They cram it into 48 minutes plus commercials, and then but nobody realized. A lot of people don't realize that, and then like they go to an investigation and they're sitting around in a room with your equipment trying to get answers or voices or movement, and you could go without anything, and that would definitely be one of the most boring television shows ever created, which is the reason why.
Well, case in point, when Ghost Hunters first started, I was so excited about that. I really wanted that. I watched the first 1 or 2 episodes. I'd wait every week and I'd see the first episode. After the first episode, I'm like, okay, that wasn't much there, but it was kind of cool. Okay, second one expecting something more because they would do the lead into it like something major was going to happen.
Right.
The beauty of marketing TV, and after the second episode, I was kind of pissed. I was like, this sucks. I'm like, there's nothing there. I mean, they're not getting anything, or they are getting very little. That's when I realized that it's not all just everything that, every time this show comes on, you're going to get something like Ghost Adventures,
Right.
I mean, but I learned to appreciate Ghost Hunters because of the fact of just the closeness of the group, how they handled things, how they talked about things, how they discovered things. That's where it was that was where it was at. More of the discovery of things they didn't know before. And that's what I really like about the show, is finding out the truth about things that they didn't know to try to tie it into the paranormal in that aspect, which was cool.
No, I agree with you wholeheartedly. I tried watching some of the newer shows. Like, I like to flip through YouTube once in a while, and I'll see like the some of these younger people shows, and they're all trying to create jump scares. It feels like sometimes to me. And,
you're right. You're absolutely right.
And I'm just like, I try to enjoy the content, especially if they're at a location that I've been to before, so
right.
I can relate to what they're doing. But
I'm
like, what on earth? There's nothing like this here. And I'm not going to say any names because I don't believe in.
I already know who you're talking about. So
yeah, I don't call anybody out. I don't disparage anybody. If that's the kind of reactions you want to get, but not everything needs to be scared face every time you see a thumbnail. It's like scared face this, scared face that, or jumping over here or there because they hear a noise. It's
right.
That's not exactly what it's all about.
I used to love watching the Ghost Brothers, and they had a couple different shows connected to them, which was really good. And like the Ghost Hunters, the original Ghost Hunters, and even after the last one, and even in the one in between with Grant. I mean, and I'm friends with God, I can't remember the name. No, but anyways, I mean, it was like there are all these people that are involved in this, in the shows and whatnot. Some of it's a joke, but there's some of it that is fascinating and where it makes me want to investigate it more. You know what I mean?
Right.
Where it wants me, I want to be able to visit some of these places. I would love nothing more than to get paid to go to different locations and do walkthroughs and try to see if I can pick something up that is missing in history, or something that somebody says, we didn't know about this in this history. I'm like, well, that's what I see. And then they can somehow verify it. And it's a part of history. It's like recreating history or digging for history when people thought it was gone, So.
No, I agree with you, and it's amazing that you actually have multiple shows. You said you have a music show as well that you've been doing.
Mm-hmm.
And how many shows do you currently have?
Metal Freedom, Unscripted, Paranormal Diner, 32, and I think that's it.
Well, that's a lot. That's a lot to have to take care of, and I can imagine. It's pretty cool,
Yeah, I mean it's a lot of work. I mean in that aspect, but I don't do shows. I haven't done any shows for those. Like every week. I used to try to do them every week.
Right.
I've had other shows that didn't work.
Right.
So I mean, I've experienced that where I had a great idea and then it got no traction. And even some of these ones that I do now don't get a lot of traction, but I like doing them.
No, that's true. You know, as long as you enjoy doing it,
Mhm.
that's the most important part to me. You
Right.
know? And so, from what I understand, you also have been working on You've been doing documentaries as well. And stuff.
Well, I'm trying to raise funds for my documentary company that I want to be able to do. Like I was just talking about,
Right.
I would like to go to places. I'd like to find history, but I'd like to really focus on Gettysburg, and that's kind of where I came up with the Whispers in the Wheat, which is a lot of the history that still is in Gettysburg that's untold, and even around the southern states, or even during the Civil War and whatnot. There's so many different stories. Plus, there's so many different Expedition X and Destination Truth. Yes, thank you, Nathan. Nathaniel, you are awesome.
Hi, Raven.
Hi, Raven. So I'm trying to raise funds
Right.
so that I can create this, so that I can, do a little bit of traveling, so that I can create. I feel like there's like spirits, there's souls in Gettysburg, and soldiers, and just patrons, people everywhere that want their story told. And I think that there's so many different stories that I want to be able to document, to tell them. You know what I mean? I want to be able to find that history. I want to be able to dig that up. I want to be able to discover that so that I can share it with people, so that, related to families or friends or whoever, and maybe if there's healing that needs to be happening, if that truth comes out that says, I never knew that about my descendants, I never knew, I always thought this, I want to be able to help people to discover, their roots, or, the history behind, the shadows, basically,
Okay.
So
It makes sense. Now, do you have a particular link for your fundraising that you'd like to?
I do. I have it. It's on my Facebook page. I could send it to you after we're done here. I can send it to you in a link, and then if you want to share it, that's great. I am swinging for the fence with this because I had put in there my total asking lot is $125,000, but that is for the people, the equipment, the traveling, the expenses, and all of that. You know what I mean? I want to be able to create this. I want to get the licensing to do it. I want to do all this stuff so that I'm able to make this come true. You know what I mean?
You know what? I really hope that it does work out for you, man. I really do, because
I do too. As of late, I mean, I've had it up for 6 months, and I have yet to get $1, which is fine. Yeah, I've gotten zilch, but that's usually the way it happens. I mean, I've had other campaigns that went nowhere, but I believe in this, and so it's gonna be open until I decide to change it, or I instantly become a millionaire, which won't happen, but you never know, so
shout out the lottery. Shout out the lottery.
Right.
Right. So I noticed that we're definitely getting towards the end of the evening, and my show, I always tend to ask a question. I mean, I don't know if you've ever been a horror movie fan or watched any of the horror movies in the past, but I always ask my guests, your Mount Rushmore of horror characters. It could be, or horror films if you don't want to do characters. Just where you fall on that.
Movie wise, 13 Ghosts.
Nice choice.
Yeah. Actor Vincent Price.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love Vincent Price, man. His work back in the day, oh my God, unparalleled.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
All of those, The House on Haunted Hill and The Pit and the Pendulum, and
Yep. I've seen both. I've seen the original series, the original movie, and the remake. The remake was one of my favorites too. So,
he's an amazing choice for an amazing guy. Even his portrayal of Egghead on the original Batman in the 1966 Adam Bush show was amazing. I get a crack up every time I see that, because it's like they got one of the greatest voices in the history of vintage horror to be a goofy egg inspired character on Batman, and it worked.
You know, it's funny because I didn't really discover Vincent Price until I was, maybe 13. Not even then. I was like maybe 12. On Michael Jackson's Thriller. When he did that, the voice at the end, and I'd known that voice. I knew who it was, but after that, I looked at him totally different. And then I kind of got into some of his stuff, and I was like, oh, wow, that's really cool, And so I've always been a follower of him since I was a teenager.
Absolutely. And you know what? On that note, I wanted to say, Jay, it's been an honor and a privilege to have you on the show with me this evening. Thank you very much for taking the time to come on here and talk to me. And for Jay, this is Jeremy. This has been Twisted Tales. I've had an amazing evening. Sean, please take us home.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much. I think Sean's here somewhere. Sean? Okay. Moving right along. I don't know how Sean disappeared to, but yeah. I've never had that happen before.
That's all right.
Hopefully he'll pop back in here somewhere. And yeah. So what's next for you? Now that we're just sitting here waiting, I saw you you did Broadhead recently with the thing.
I did Broadhead with Casket Robbery, the group, and that was a lot of fun. I had a lot of great experiences there. I helped a few people, and yeah, it was awesome. I always loved it there, and plus it's only 45 minutes from my house, or maybe an hour, but yeah, I love it. Yeah. I'll probably be doing getting closer to Halloween. I know the ghost tour lady, Rita, and I just show up sometimes on her walks during the week or weekends, and I just walk with her, and she'll announce me to the people that are there, which is kind of cool. But yeah, it's fun. I'm not sure exactly what I have going on. I'm just trying to get through August, and then after Labor Day, I think I'll kind of come up with a plan for Halloween. I want to do something special for Halloween, but I'm not sure exactly what. So if anybody has, wants a medium to do walkthroughs for anything around Halloween, hit me up. If I live close enough.
Well,
yeah,
we're definitely gonna see. Hey, Sean, if you're there, my man, we're definitely done for the evening, and I appreciate everybody that was here tonight and all the guests. Thank you very much. And I think we may just have to shut ourselves down on our own, but hey, thank you very much. It's been an amazing evening. Hey,
yeah.
Where you been, man?
I'm just sitting here listening to you, and you just keep talking, so I just let you go.
I called this home. I said to take us home 3 minutes ago. This is the blooper reel, everybody. We're doing bloopers tonight on Twisted Tales. You never know what's gonna happen.
Gotta have a little fun with you, Jeremy.
That's okay, man. You know what? We've been having fun talking about everything, and it's been an amazing evening.
Everybody have a great night.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
Bye.
you.